All right, let me first and foremost, let me apologize for the quality. My camera that I usually shoot from is not connecting with my computer. And I've been trying this thing, I've been too long. I was supposed to do this video like 2 hours ago. And my camera is not connecting, my good camera. So I was like, you know what? This video is going to have to be bad quality. I'm using the camera from my actual laptop or desktop, and the camera that I normally use is sitting right there, is not working. So I was like, man, we just gonna do bad. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. I'm not gonna keep sitting here doing this. It's gonna be whack quality. But if you watching on a phone, yeah, the quality gonna be all right to you anyway. So that's how we gonna do it. All right. First things first. Let's do this. Again, I apologize for the camera quality. I'm using the camera that comes with this joint. All right. Welcome to CNN. I'm Kirk Kennedy. Let's go in. On this channel, we take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. And if you are of the Christian tradition, you know that tomorrow is not promised, but the future is. The future being the day of the Lord. So we remember the future right there, right there, right there, right there. All right, let's jump into it. I ain't going to be long today. I ain't going to be long. This wasn't what I wanted to talk about, but my camera's not working. So I was like, I ain't going to give y'all, I'm going to give y'all this. This is the quality y'all get today. So I apologize for that. This showing us the devil. He don't want me to say what I'm getting ready to say. Now, I'm not one of the people that think like that. All right, here's the reality. It's not looking good for Diddy. And we've all heard this. If you don't know who Diddy is, go Google him. I'm not giving no backstory, all right? I'm not doing that. I want to talk about something a little bit different that's connected to Diddy. And because a lot of people that I've watched talk about this just inform you of the same things over and over again. You can watch 10 videos and you're going to get roughly the same material, whatever. I don't care if it's from a Christian content creators or the world. It's just going to be pretty much the details, better quality than me because I'm by myself. I'm a one-man show and my camera's not even working right. All right. But we're going to come from a different angle today. Let me say a couple things that you might have heard. And then, all right, so Diddy, formerly Bad Boy owner from Notorious B.I.G., Craig Mack, did some Mary J. Blige, Jodeci, all the stuff in the 90s, has been accused of some very serious sexual crimes, right? And a lot of them we've heard about these things for a long time. I mean, we were hearing about these things before social media, you know what I'm saying? Like around the time when the internet was coming, but it was when you had AOL was on and popping back then, right? So we've heard about all this stuff. Last year, former love interest Cassie came out with an explosive lawsuit with a bunch of stuff that trafficking, essaying, all the stuff that men and women, all this stuff. Since then, other people have come forward. All right. This lawsuit with Cassie was settled the next day. The next day, like, here's the allegations. Not even waiting to defend his name in public, none of it. The next day, they settled, right, with Cassie. So that's good for her. Because now everybody's coming after Diddy, and I don't even know if he got money no more. He just recently apparently sold the last of his shares of Revolt TV, which he started some while ago. But a lot of this has been rumored about him for some time. And so I want to come, now that we said all that, I want to approach this from a different angle. If you're a believer and you don't care about this stuff, or let's just say you maybe have a historical affinity, like rap music is my music of choice. I come out of the Bad Boy era, right? So I'm familiar with him and all of his work. And, and if you're that, and if you're not, if this isn't your thing, that's fine. This isn't a typical video of mine. I'm not bringing up a Bible passage necessarily, but I feel like when I watch these videos, even from Christian content creators, sometimes I think we miss the mark on how we can encourage let's make this edifying for you all, right? I don't want to just highlight what people are doing who are not believers and just be like, oh, look at this. You can get that from TMZ. I want to give you something to chew on that as a believer, you can process, all right? Now, in a lot of the video, I want to show you a quick video real quick because I think this is foolishness, what I'm about to show you. So this is going to take less than maybe a minute tops, all right? I'm going to show you this video because I think this is foolishness. These are guys who are doing the same old, like, oh man, They coming after the black man. And, you know, what if he didn't do it and all this and all that, all right? So I want you to watch this. We're going to watch this a minute or so of this video. And then I want to explain to you why this is foolishness. And hopefully, by the end of this video, as a believer, you'll kind of process, like, how do I think about these things if people ask, and not even if people ask, like, you need to be informed, right? You don't need to be informed about people who aren't believers' sins. You don't need to be informed about that, right? But it can be useful in a conversation as you process it if you talk to someone. So that's what I want to help with. But first, let's watch this foolishness of what these guys are talking about in somewhat of a defense of Diddy. You can't make this stuff. This is why Candace Owens and them, and they were saying what they were saying. All right, let's watch this.
It's like secondhand, though.
No. Again, if you send an Uber to a chick, you live in Jersey, and you're across the bridge in New York, that's considered sex trafficking. It's the same thing what Diddy's going through.
What I'm gonna say about this Puffy thing is what I don't like is this. Black people act like they so excited about another black person going down that's rich. That's the part that I don't understand. Because now they're ridiculing him. Now everybody's coming out as if they know everything is factual. You don't know. You wasn't there at all. So why is everybody saying he's guilty? It's like you're guilty before anything, my nigga. Like, you have to be proven to be guilty. I think that people have thrown that whole idea out the window. That now that they saying this stuff about Puffy, oh, he's guilty. Now, what if he comes out, he's not? Everybody say he's running extradition. He was in Miami. Like,
well, he was at the airport.
He was in Miami, though.
But he was at the airport.
2 hours afterwards. They didn't tell us his plane is going to Cape Verde. His plane is going to Barbados.
He was in the parking lot of the airport, though.
Come on, dog.
Drake put out a statement.
Come on, dog.
The more you win, the more you realize you don't have as many friends as you do. And the faster you win, the quicker you see who's not in your corner. Puff Daddy has been winning since 1992. He survived losing Biggie. He survived a shootout in a club. He survived all this nonsense with Cassie. The bad boy curse, and all we've ever seen him is dancing, promoting liquor. Kim Porter's passed away. It's
well,
nothing.
He has enemies. He has enemies.
No.
All right. As a fellow ex-gangster who is impossible for me to lose my ghetto pass and my street cred, let me speak to you as an ex-OG from the street. Black people like this are the most foolish people around. I'm not calling them fools because that Matthew 5 is clear. You're liable to hell for calling your brother a fool. This is foolish. This is the type of stuff where you realize either they must be working for this dude, admire this dude, or hoping he's not. Because they're making it seem like that people are just jumping on the bandwagon about Diddy and you trying to take another black man down. He's been winning. Okay, that's foolish. I don't care where you from. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care. Accountability is accountability, right? So let me tell you why this is foolishness. These black dudes are dumb. What they saying is dumb, and they don't represent wisdom, all right? And this is a lot of what happened with, like, all the police shootings. You was just jumping the gun and all this stuff, right? And then you get your foot put in your mouth after you see some other things, right? These dudes are wild, and let me explain why. Their premise is that Diddy's been winning, and now that he's, a successful black man, that everybody's coming after Diddy, okay? Here's the problem with that. The reality is, and here's the problem with actually the word allegedly. Let me tell you what, right now when you hear people say stuff, we say all this stuff and we say allegedly, right? All right, now I get it, because allegedly just simply means, it means like, okay, someone's accused of something, but it's not proven yet, something like that, right? So you say allegedly. As a believer, I don't think we got to say allegedly, but if you want to say it in terms of the culture, fine, all right? But here's the reality, all right? Here's what their problem is and the problem with using the word allegedly, all right? This is for me from a Christian perspective. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. This is how I'm processing it biblically, all right? Here's the problem. It'd be one thing if a person just put out a blog post and said, man, Diddy did this stuff to me, right? And then everybody took it and ran with it, okay? It'd be one thing if somebody said that, right? And everybody took it and ran with it. And you had a bunch of people defending him like, man, I was there. He didn't do that stuff. He didn't do that. Like, it just wouldn't make sense, right? It wouldn't make sense. I jokingly used to tell people in my church, if somebody comes up to you and says, man, I think Pastor Kurt is gay. When I say that, everybody busts out laughing. I say, why y'all laughing? I say, because we know that's not true, right? I said, that wouldn't even bother me. I wouldn't even address that. But if 5 people are saying that to people, then I need you to show your evidence. I need to address it because too many people are saying this thing, right? Here's the problem and the stupidity or the foolishness of their argument of the black man and taking them down. Nobody's taking down a black man. They're taking down a man who has allegedly committed some very serious sins against people. And let me tell you why I'm saying this. It's not one person didn't do this. Even if you just said when Cassie put out her lawsuit that was all it was. No, fam. We have been hearing for decades about this man's atrocities. I'm talking about almost every single artist that was signed to Bad Boy, that worked for Bad Boy, have all talked about his treachery, right? The problem in our culture is this. We value, America is a consumer country. You know, the American dream is so connected to commerce, it's to economics, it's to making money. People come to America not because they think we're a better country, because they think they can make more money here and send it back home to their country, which is largely true for many people. When you have money, you get the benefit of the doubt in ways you wouldn't, right? It's rare occasion. Like this dude Diddy, like let's go like Hugh Hefner. Hugh Hefner was like 80 years old and was marrying and had girlfriends that were like 22. My dude, you were like a great-great-grandfather to these women, but nobody said nothing. Why? Because he's rich and he's powerful. That's how it works in the country. If you got a little bit of money, you can do your thing. Jeffrey Epstein, he got money, he can do his thing. Diddy got money, he can do his thing. What in the world was Diddy doing dating Lori Harvey, who's like 26? That's his, she should be dating his son, one of his sons, King or Justin Combs. He should be dating, why are you dating her? Nobody said nothing. What are you doing dating Cassie for? Nobody said nothing. Drake right now, Drake is dating 21-year-old Lotto's, rapper Young Lotto's sister Brooklyn, and now people saying something, that's because Drake is 39, she's 21, because it's rare that happens, right? Whether you white, black, whatever. If you have money, people will largely overlook stuff that you would not overlook if it was a guy who was 52 years old dating a 24-year-old in your neighborhood. When I grew up, we used to call that robbing the cradle. We used to be like, man, he robbing the cradle. We meant like dudes would be like 22 dating a girl 15, right? Like, man, he robbing the cradle. These dudes ain't robbing the cradle. They kidnapped that bad boy, duct taped it, tied it up, and put it in a vault and got armed guards guarding it. This dude been robbing the cradle. So to me, this isn't about one accusation against him to take the black man down. We have heard for decades, there is almost every single artist associated with Bad Boy has all said this dude is evil. This dude is evil, all right? This is what we've heard for a long time. I'm not going to pretend like because he's rich and powerful that it's alleged. No, that's not the biblical way to view it. So let me give you a biblical principle that Jesus said. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm the messenger, shoot me. Here's a biblical principle, and this is where I'm coming from. This is what Jesus says in Matthew 12 right here. It says this, either make the good tree and its fruit good, or make the bad tree and its fruit bad, for the tree is known by its fruit. You brood of vipers, how can you speak good when you are evil? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, all right? Then he comes here, the good person out of the good treasure brings forth good, And the evil person out of his evil treasure brings forth evil. All right? Here's the point that Jesus is saying. You judge a tree by its fruits. A tree is known by its fruits. Now, and it was a metaphor. They were a very agricultural society, right? Jesus would always use parables and analogies that dealt with the current customs of the day. Israel was a very agricultural farmer society. It wasn't a modern city like Rome was. So you use a lot of farming and planting analogies, parables, because that's the culture they lived in. What he's basically saying is you can tell by how a person is by how they act. Now, you would say, well, Pastor Kurt, well, we're not around him. We don't see how he acts day in and day out. You're absolutely right. But when there are a bunch of people around him, and a lot of them are saying the same things about him, I think we're past allegedly, right? If you're not close enough to observe, like if I got bad eyes and there's some trees up here and I'm with my sons, I got bad eyes. And I'm like, hey, what kind of tree is that? And is that I can't see it that way. I'm too far away. Jog over there and see what kind. It's an apple tree over here, puppy. It's a peach tree. Okay, I'm going to believe it because you in closer proximity. Now, if my son, because sometimes he could be wrong, I'll send his brothers, hey, go over there and make sure he got the right fruit. Because sometimes, your brother be wilding. No, Poppy, this is peach, apples, all of that, right? I'm going to trust them because they're in closer proximity to the tree. So it's not just you judge a tree by its fruits that you can see by yourself. Yes, that's probably the primary application, but sometimes if a bunch of people say this to me, like let's make a more practical example that you can agree with. Say you're in your church, right? And a woman comes up to you who's married to a guy, her husband, and she shares with you some very concerning things about him, and she wants help and all of that. Most of us would say initially, wow, we would believe it. Why? Because of who she is, the proximity to him. And then we might know you want to be careful, Proverbs 18:17, right? Just the person who presents his case seems right until another comes and examines him. So but you tend to would think there's some truth there, because why would his wife, someone that close to him, come up and tell us these things about him? Just in principle, we just know that in this situation, we have heard from countless people about Diddy. Countless. We have heard these things. No one ever really, really acted on them. We all know that when you're rich and you're powerful, it's a fraternity. Over the years, especially recently in the last 5 years, we understand the fraternity of the music industry, right? And the satanic nature connected to it. I've been hearing about Diddy for a long time. Now, normally I don't care, but because it's a big story, I'm trying to help Christians have discernment and process this. Judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. If one or two people are saying something negative about this dude, I could care less. I'm not tripping. When hundreds of people are saying negative things about him, I'm sorry. I don't know what they all have to gain when the stories are relatively the same. That would be a mass, why would they want to go after this one dude and take him down, the black man down? Nobody's trying to take the black man down. That's not the reality. I think the Lord cannot be mocked, and I think that's what's happening here. Let me give you another example of this, all right? Just to make the point. Now, this isn't a church situation, but let's just assume that we're talking about if this were a church situation. This is not a church. Again, I said that, all right? So don't be like, well, Pastor Kurt, it's not a church. I know, I lead a church. I know what a church is, all right? I think I know, all right? But let's do this. Let's look at this, all right? Let's imagine that this was the reality, right? Here's what Matthew 18 says about sort of how you expose someone publicly. Here's the reality. Here's what Jesus says. Here he says this. If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault. I'm right here, 15, right here, all right? If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. If he does not listen, take one or two others along with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen even to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile or tax collector. All right. We typically theologically call that passage church discipline. All right. That's what we call church discipline. So what typically happens is, I don't know how many people follow this, right? But the pattern is this. Tell somebody they did you wrong. If they don't listen, bring somebody else with you. If they don't listen, right, go back and get one or two others. If they don't listen, tell it to the church. And if they refuse to listen to the church, then you get rid of them, right? Do you know how many people? I remember back in the day when what I'm tripping right now. When Jadakiss, all of them dudes, right? They was trying to get off of them, the locks. And they had this campaign, Free the Locks. They were determined. They were begging him. And at the same time, or shortly after, Mace was trying to get out of his contract with Diddy, right? And they eventually got out. The Locks got out because the Locks were trying to sign with Rough Riders, who was with DMX and them. They from Yonkers. They grew up with DMX. And Wah and D were the owners of Rough Riders. And Locks and them wanted to sign with them because DMX was like their OG. They grew up with DMX. They didn't want to be with Bad Boy. And they were saying all this stuff about him. Mace, the same thing. Remember him and Mace all together like this, best friend? They were all like, this dude is evil coming out. They went to him. He didn't listen. They brought others. He didn't listen. Now they're telling the church. Well, not the church, but you're telling the world. They've already exposed how treacherous this man is. Danity Kane, the all-girl group, the all-girl singing group, Aubrey O'Day and them have been talking about, and D Woods, they've been talking about his treachery for years. I mean, Aubrey said she got kicked out of the group because she would not comply with things that had nothing to do with music, which is all the stuff he's being accused of now. She wouldn't do it. So he kicked her out of the group. So when we're talking about allegedly, sure, from a legal perspective, he hasn't been convicted of a crime. But I'm not saying allegedly like maybe he didn't do this stuff when for 20 plus years, we've been hearing negative things about this dude. Let's go to a different passage to make the point even more clear, right? So let's go here. Let's see what we're talking about right here, all right? This right here is 1 Timothy, right? And here's what he says, 1 Timothy 5. Look down here, verse 19, right over here, all right? Verse 19, he says this. Do not admit a charge against an elder except on the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses, okay? So he's saying, look, don't just entertain a charge against it. Now, this is a church. I get it. It's a church. It's not the world, but I'm just making a point. I'm speaking principally. Do not admit a charge against an elder unless there are 2 or 3 witnesses. Listen, whether you like rap or not, I know some of you don't listen to rap, but the people that do, there have been way more than 2 or 3 witnesses against Diddy. So from a legal standpoint, yeah, allegedly. The law hasn't convicted him yet. But you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears, right? We judge a tree by the fruit that Jesus said it. A tree will be known for its fruit. I'm sorry, but I have not seen fruit from Diddy. And not because I'm in close enough proximity to evaluate it. I've seen what he said and done, and we've heard too many treacherous things about what he's done. I believe, the world would say that chickens are coming home to roost. I think the Bible would say you reap what you sow. And Hindus would say this is karma. And in the street, we would call this larceny. Like larceny got that man. Like you got back for all the crud and dirt that you put in. That's what I think is happening right now. I think that we're now able to see the fruit clearly from these multiple lawsuits that are coming out that have already corroborated. So when these dudes are talking about they're trying to take the black man down, man, get over yourself, fam. This has nothing to do with taking a successful black man down. That dude has been, especially, and here's the part, here's why they contradict themselves. Because the one dude was like, he trying to take the black man down. And the other dude said because he been winning. He been winning and winning and winning. How do you try to take him down when he been winning? This Bama been out here winning for decades. Since Flavor in Your Ear, Craig Mack, boom, boom. Dude, remember when LL said, he, she? Let's not talk about that he was talking about the trans dude that was in the video. Well, we weren't even thinking about that back then, but that's a different video. So one last thing, because let's deal with here's what I think is the biblical reality about Diddy. I've already said you reap what you sow. There's many biblical realities. Let me give you just one verse from 2 verses from 1 Timothy 5. This is what I think is honestly happening. And I'm grateful for this. I hope he gets saved for real. I do. That I hope. But we are people of justice and righteousness. When you commit sins against people, and Diddy is infamous for disregarding the second greatest commandment, which is to love your neighbor as yourself. He has destroyed the lives of many people. I do not show him any pity in that sense. I hope he gets saved, because the eternal destination is way worse. But he gets no pity from me in an allegedly sense. Like, well, maybe if I'm wrong, I will eat the pie in front of all of you. But when you get a RICO, listen, I'm from the street. When the feds come, the FB, when the feds are involved, 50 Cent said this, and he was 100% true. I know this from experience. When the feds do not get involved, if they don't have a strong case. When feds get involved, they usually have been wiretapping you for years. You didn't even know it. That's why most of the federal cases, you can Google this. I could be wrong, but Google this. Most federal cases, the defendants plead out. Let me tell you why. Because in the federal, you got to serve 85% of your prison time. In the state, you can get a lot of that time back. You can appeal. The only thing you can't get back is letters when you get like life. But if you get 99 years, man, you can appeal that back and serve 7 and get out. You can find loopholes and different things. Not with the feds, though. When the feds come, they don't come and their conviction rate is like 90-something%, like 95%. You got to be like the mafia with the crazy lawyers to beat the Fed case, right? No, when they come for you, it's a wrap. Let me tell you what I think is happening. This part is allegedly, because I can't prove any of this. This is what I think. There's all this speculation about Diddy's plane flying all over the place, flying to Antigua, and they're saying, oh, but he's in Miami, and they took his sons. Let me tell you what I think. This is how the feds work. From my experience, this is how the feds work. They're not even pressed to come get you yet. They're building more evidence against you. This is what I think the plane is. Let me tell you why I think the plane took off to Antigua. Again, this is allegedly. I cannot prove this, right? But being from the streets and having gone through different things, not on this level, but this is what I think happened. So apparently Diddy has a lot of footage of all this stuff. He has footage of very important people like Epstein doing a bunch of crazy stuff. He has it all recorded and documented, right? This is what I think. I think the reason why the plane took off to Antigua is because he has a lot of that stuff on the plane. And Antigua does not have extradition laws. So if you can't make the plane come back, you can't make it come back. I think a lot of again, this is all allegedly now. This is me just allegedly. I'm qualifying that. You can't make the plane come back. You can't force him to come back. Diddy is still here. He's here. The reason why I think they took his sons, not only are they implicated, but you can break them. You got his drug dealer, the 25-year-old white dude. You got his sons. Diddy's walking around looking paranoid because those dudes are going to break. When you're a Fed and you're talking to a 25-year-old dude, a kid, or a 30-year-old kid, and you're telling them what prison is going to be like for him, and you say something like, all the stuff you did for fun with your dad, these inmates are going to do with you, and it will not be fun. And we will make sure that you are in the worst facility possible. We will put you in general population. You will not be in isolation. We will make sure if you lie to they're going to talk like that. That's how they talk, man. I've been in them situations where they made me think, there was stuff I ain't even do that I was getting ready to agree to because I just ain't want. They're breaking it down. The feds got enough already. They don't need them yet. They're building a case because when they come in, they want to show you they got all these witnesses against you, even your own children. They may not find that footage because a lot of it could be on that plane that's in Antigua, but they are going to get these people who are eyewitnesses to testify against you. That's why they did that. If they can't find the footage, they're going to turn these witnesses. That's what I think is happening with him, right? And his kids, they're gonna scare them half to death. These boys have been so far away from the system. They probably watch movies that show good cop, bad cop. They don't know what's going on. So all that to say that's what I think is happening with all of that. But let me give you this reality, biblical reality about Diddy, and then I'm out of here. All right. I'm doing this video. Quality's all bad. I'm sorry again for the quality. My real camera's not working. It's right there, and it's not working. All right. 2 verses. Here we go. 1 Timothy 5. The sins of some people are conspicuous, going before them to judgment, but the sins of others appear later. So also, good works are conspicuous, even those that are cannot remain hidden. All right. Essentially, what God is saying in his word here is that the sins of some people are obvious, right? They're just obvious. I mean, they're so obvious that their sins are going before them to judgment, right? And then others, their sins appear later. So let me give you a tale of 2 different people. And I hate to bring this up because the guy is dead and this and that, but this is just the reality. So Ravi Zacharias, right? Any of us prior to his death and what was revealed after he died, we would have thought him to be a champion for the gospel. Great apologist, good, all of it, right? Basically, like one of the dudes in Matthew 7 that said, didn't we do all these mighty works in your name? Yeah, but you were a worker of lawlessness. You were living an evil lifestyle. After he passed away, surprise to all of us, all this stuff came out about him owning these massage parlors and having intercourse with married women and all this stuff. It was just like, what? So his sins appeared much later. We had no clue. We would have stood by and, all this stuff. Now, personally, I believe, I don't think that just because you were lying, if you spoke the truth, that truth is still true, even if you lied. So I would still use a logic or a video of Ravi Zacharias just because he might have been faking us in the truth. He didn't tell the truth. So you look at his sins appear later, but Diddy, his sins have been going before him to the judgment. I mean, I think his sins have been mounting up, and I think the devil probably promised him, I got you, you good. There's been nothing happening to you right now until Cassie put out that lawsuit because New York gave people 1 year to file any claims up to like decades ago if you've been assaulted or anything. It's called the adult, I forgot what it's called, some adult charge in it. She filed and that was it. Once that happened and they settled the next day, I was like, here it comes. Here it comes. And sure enough, that's where we're at. So as a believer, I think what we're witnessing, listen, if you say allegedly because he hasn't been convicted guilty legally. But let's stop giving people the benefit of the doubt because they're rich. No, they're under the same authority as those of us who are not rich. And God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. If 2 or 3 witnesses were what it takes to bring a charge against an elder, there's dozens of witnesses against this man. Dozens of witnesses. So I'm not saying allegedly. I'm saying the fruit that we've heard about from you, and even what we've seen. Remember back when Nas came out with that boom, you can hate me now, but it won't stop now. And Diddy was on the joint. You can't stop us. You can. And what were they doing? They were hanging up on the crosses. I hated it, right? And then afterwards, Diddy supposedly felt bad about it, and so he wanted his portion hanging on the cross taken out of the video. And back then, Steve Stout, who was Nas's manager, he didn't want to do it. So Diddy apparently, well, it's not even apparent, it's been proven, he beat this man, had this man beaten to get his portion taken out of the video. Diddy has always tried to portray himself as a Christian who worship. He even brought T.D. Jakes into it, trying to portray himself as a believer. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not trying to be self-righteous. I do hope he accepts Jesus when he's in prison, because I think he's gone. I hope he doesn't do something stupid like take his own life out of fear of the consequences. I think he's going to prison for the rest of his life. But I do hope he gets saved. But you know, I do hate this though. I hate, and I don't say this lightly, I hate people who profess to be Christians and mock Christianity because you're famous and you have more notoriety, to take God's name in vain. I'm not talking about saying, oh my God. I'm talking about using promoting as if you believe, wearing crosses, getting tattoos, acting like in your videos, every step I take, every day I pray for you. No, you don't. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You prayed on all these people, is what I think. I hate when people do that and pretend like, and they could make us think like, well, maybe they're, we start losing discernment what the Bible says and start thinking about who people are. Not me, famo. So again, if you don't like what I'm saying, you can unsubscribe. I get it. But I'm just trying to give some biblical wisdom here. I think I've heard too many witnesses to think this is just allegedly legally, but it's not allegedly intellectually. I think this man is guiltier than guilty, and I think the Lord is coming. The devil can't save you, famo. The gods you've been worshiping, the devil you've been worshiping, he doesn't care about you, fam. And now he's gonna let you go to the wayside. And all these people that was a part of your stuff, they're gonna be afraid of the consequences. And they're gonna give Diddy right on up. I bet you. I wouldn't be surprised if his own sons testify, because they ain't trying to spend decades in prison. I bet you. Watch. We'll see. So, all right, let's go to the comment section. It's on and popping over here. All right. Glad you discussed this topic. Yep. Thank you, bro. There is some truth in their statements, not necessarily about Diddy, but you have folks praying that Jay-Z get next. Yeah, maybe so. Let the Locks Go campaign. Loon said he was sus. Loon is an artist on that, right? Yep, I definitely remember what the Locks said about Diddy back then. Brother, I mean, it was crazy, right? And that's just them. There was a ton of people that said that he was doing crazy stuff. All this makes me wonder if what Pac mentioned is legitimate about Diddy getting him shot at the New York studio back 92. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. Now, I think it's been proven that this guy named Haitian Jack, I think he was a Queens or Brooklyn's gangster that apparently Diddy and them kind of had him do that. I wouldn't be surprised if that was it. All right. LL also said on that record, God bless you. Yeah, he needed to say that because he said, he, she. We didn't know what that was. We thought that was a sneeze. Now he said, he, she. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. All right. But we know how the feds roll. They got the most G on the block. 100%, bro. 100%. 100% future. Feds, it's like, not, if they get you, that's what I'm saying. The feds don't come for you unless they have a case. You're not going to embarrass the federal government, the FBI, ATF. You're not going to embarrass them. They're not going to come swooping for you unless they know we can lock you up now, but that's not how they do it. See, that's where the state gets it wrong. Most of my charges were state. The state will try to get you right away and be sloppy in their evidence, and then you can beat your case. I know dudes that beat murder cases. Like, I know you killed this dude, but you beat it because you fumbled the case. In my gun charge case, they fumbled it. Now, granted, they said some dumb stuff that just wasn't true. So they kind of fumbled it. But I mean, that's what the state does. But the feds, they're like, okay, we got him. We can charge him with this and get 20 years. But like, let's gather more evidence. Let's put this man under the jail. That's how they do. Speaking truth, why are we as black people supposed to be abused by other black people and remain silent? What has come out about Diddy and his henchmen is abominable in women, period. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a black person code, but I feel what you're saying, Vio. I don't know if it's a black code though, because I think, until the Me Too movement happened, around 5-6 years ago, even white men, Harvey Weinstein and then Matt Lauer from NBC, that TV show Good Morning America, all that stuff, those dudes were getting over, and white women weren't saying nothing. And I think, so I don't think it's a black issue. I think, to be honest, if what it is, I think it's so we move in sort of a join the club mentality, right? People don't care. Women have been saying for a long time how they're being mistreated. I've heard about the casting couch long before, like 30 years ago, where like women would have to have sex with, am I not supposed to say that on YouTube? Women would have to let men have their way with them to get acting roles, to get certain things, right? So, and these guys would just be like, they would build up these big platforms and then tell you just what you got to do in order to get this part in this movie. I'll make you famous, right? Women have been saying this for a while. I'm talking about white women. Been saying this for a while and no one listened. But for whatever reason, during that brief period of time, 5-6 years ago, during the Me Too movement, it was like, nah, women were getting their due. And I was glad for them. See, when you don't do stuff like that, I'm not mad at it. If these dudes did it, lock them up. I was like, lock Harvey Weinstein up, lock Matt Lauer up, lock all them white boys up, lock all them black dudes. I don't care where they from. Lock all them dudes up. If you did it, Russell Simmons is in another country that can't be extradited, but apparently he was wild. That's why he don't come back. He don't come back because he can't. So anyway, I don't know if it's a black thing. I think it's just people. It's a power thing, right? When people have power, they have the money and the influence to make your case, make it seem like it's your fault. You know how many women have been assaulted and go and report it, and police officers just be like, oh, you were wearing too much makeup, wearing a dress. I've heard women say the most horrific things, like they said it was my fault because I wore a skirt on a dress. So I think there was a season where God said, the Lord is going, I think the Lord was like, I'm going to go and redeem some of these folks. And that's what that Me Too movement was. I'm not saying every accusation was legitimate. I ain't a believe all women, because women lie too. But there were a lot of women that weren't lying. And I'm glad that they got some justice. All right. Some of the witnesses, I'm sure, they got footage. They got footage. Yo, quality is cool. My little joint. Yeah. If you're on an iPhone, you're not going to look at the quality and tell. But if you're on a big computer, it's all grainy and stuff. But hopefully I'll fix my camera, but I appreciate that. What Jesus say about camel? Jesus said it's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than the rich to be saved, my brother. That's exactly right? He hit him with a champagne bottle. Yeah, he sure did. Talking about Steve Stout. I think you talking about Steve Stout. Crushed him, right? Yo, Pastor Kurtz, you wild. That's how we get down, right? That's how we get down. The Lord is exposing so much. I agree, brother. I agree, Mark. And I think you know what he's exposing though? He's exposing he's exposing unrepentant wickedness, right? He's exposing unrepentant. Isn't that interesting? The Lord's not exposing the average day believer like you and I who struggle with sin. It's not like everybody all of a sudden. No, the Lord is exposing unrepentant wickedness, bro. Whether it's the world or in the church. Remember the SBC about 2 years? They got rocked. Rocked all these passages. The Lord is not going for it. He's exposing unrepentant sinfulness, wickedness. And here's the wild part. I'm gonna end with this. I wouldn't even think I was gonna go this long. My goodness. But a lot of y'all watch now, so y'all got me out here geeked up. You know, I remember having 8, 9, 10 people watching. Now we got like 70 online right now. Let's get it. I'm over 3K. Let's get to 5K this year. 5,000. Curtis 5,000. Right now I'm Andre 3,000. Curtis 5,000. All right. I think when you think about all the time that think about this. Diddy's been in, I've known about Diddy since early 90s. Mary J. Blige, what's the 411, right? I heard about Diddy then. He was working at Arista Records, A&R, and then obviously Bad Boy, Flavor in Your Ear, Craig Mack and them come out in 93, and then Biggie, Ready to Die comes out in 94. And Diddy's known. He's known out there. Think about this. So let's just start from 1994. Let's just say that. It's been 1994. It's been 30 years that you've had a chance to repent. Look at the patience of God. 30 years, my dude. You've had time to repent, and you've chosen not to. So now your sin's being exposed, and all the people that you led into sin are also going to be exposed. This is how the Lord works, man. It's fascinating to me. All this time, you had time to repent and you did not. And so he has no excuse. And as long as he's alive, he still could repent. But there's this is what I love about the Lord. The Lord knows the difference. He knows you can't deceive the Lord. There's a difference between I'm sorry because I got caught and I'm sorry because it was wrong. There's a difference, right? When you're sorry because you got caught, it may not be genuine. It just means if you escape the consequences, you right back at it. I think the Bible in 2 Corinthians 7 calls this godly sorrow and worldly sorrow. I did a video on this a while ago about the difference between godly sorrow and worldly sorrow. Go check that out. But I think when you're sad because you got caught, that doesn't necessarily mean it's genuine. It could just be the consequences of your actions of what you're sad about. When you're sad because it was wrong, that's different. And I don't think Diddy, right? I don't think. Now, this is me. I don't think he's capable of being sad because it was wrong, because his soul was so debaucherous in the things that they've said he's done. And there's too many people are saying it, bruv. I'm sorry. Too many people are saying it. So we'll say allegedly because that's but I ain't saying allegedly because that's the Christian thing to say. I'll say allegedly because it hasn't formally been convicted of a crime. But the biblical way is you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. And the fruit that he's been bearing has been rotten for decades. So I'm glad that the Lord has now sent somebody over to clean up all that shrubbery, whatever that looks like. All right. Appreciate y'all watching. Man, y'all got me on tick, man. My video's getting longer because y'all out here watching. I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you for watching, man. I appreciate it. Like and subscribe. Let's get me up. Let's get me up. And I'm not saying that like I'm like that. I'm just saying like and subscribe. Let's get me up. I'm trying to get out there and help serve people. But if not, so be it. All right. But I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you. This might be a wrap day. I might drop another video today talking about Kendrick and Drake and them. Sometimes we just got to talk. I'm sorry. I'm from hip hop too. I know I'm a pastor. I know the word. We're going to talk about the word, but I usually try to bring a biblical perspective even there. But we got to talk about that Kendrick, Drake, J. Cole thing. We need to have a conversation. So y'all might catch me a little bit later. Appreciate y'all. Thank you. Grace and peace. See y'all on the next live stream. Like and subscribe. Go to KirkKennedy.com. Right there. Go to KirkKennedy.com. Get ready to have some new shirts designed for the spring. Get ready to tighten it up. All that good stuff. All right. Appreciate y'all. See